it big excursion, small excursion, or site all together. Thank you very much. Okay.
Turkish?
Ben eminim biz çok güzel bir zaman geçireceğiz. Hem sonuçlarla hem büyük ve küçük gezilerle. Tekrar hepinize teşekkür ederim.
And then we talk how to get these data, how to assess them, how to find out that they have faked the interview, or partly faked. So here we are some data sets within the data set, some scales. This was variance, deviance. We asked for deviance. We have the level of deviance.
Workshop in ASSOS. So ASSOS means an ACE. I don't know if you remember, Michael, but I asked you. For me, it was a difficult question. What's the future of correspondence analysis? Do you remember what your answer was? It was actually two words. It was interesting applications and nothing else. You answered instantly. Interesting applications of measures that may be validly compared across countries. And, for example, in education...
The first step of this recoding scheme is to imagine that there are boundaries between the rating scales, the ratings. So suppose we have rating 1 and rating 2, we imagine that between them, say at 1.5 there's a boundary, between 2 and 3 there's a boundary at 2.5, etc., etc. So the first step of the recoding scheme is just to add these boundaries to the data matrix in the columns.
An OECD publication, it's called OECD Compendium of Patent Statistics. It's published yearly, and this data pertains to the year 2008. Patents are registered under what's called the IPC code, International Patent Codes. There are 643 of these codes, 4-digit codes, like here is an example. G21C is a nuclear reactor.
How a strategic consensus works is that the more you agree, the more you believe that it's a good strategy, the more you are going to work on that. And then I will end my talk with our application of the permutation test to analyze church of building or road or tree.
And for each pixel, the radiance is combined with the wavelength. Because this method don't depend on the standard of principal coordinates, U1 and for first image, for second image.
I know, it's coming.
Bibles come from the application for tooth emergence data and nonlinear biplots that actually I've been working on for a very long time, but we made some I think important progress about a year ago, and I'll be discussing that as well. So one of the things that we know is that the biplots are based on this in a product and come back in a wide variety.
And it's an O-dimensional, where O usually is 2. So the 2-dimensional plot, so we use the first 2 columns and the first 2 columns there. That can be seen as a 2-step approach. The first step, we want to transform our data. It's a linear transformation, such that the Mahalanobis distances between the sample points become Pythagorean distances in the transform.
But what I mean is that to decompose the sum square in 2 parts makes sense in the normal distribution, because there is, of this distribution is okay. We have 2 parts and so on. If you go outside of the normal distribution, then I don't know how are you able to interpret that. This is my point.
The only concern, in my opinion, is that the authors don't use Mahalanobis distance, only additive distance.
Because, in fact, all the statistic around this is tied to the normal distribution, so that this kind of additivity is permitted there. Outside, probably you should compose in another way. Outside of the normal distribution, I mean.
Yes, but is descriptive data using geometrical concepts and matrix and algebra concepts, not distribution concepts, in my opinion.
And then thirdly, the embedding of a new point in that space. Special for all the distances in here. Then we have the distance between a single point and the centroid of a set of size. So that's a differentiation part and the integration part. That makes something more. What we find especially is
The idea of byplot, a generalization of a true variable, scatter plot of too many variables, has found into many other malware techniques. I work in this area belongs to Çanakkale State. Çanakkale sunshine 7.31, humidity 73.
Associate with one another now. There's not a linearity. A low could associate with a medium or a low and a high. That's the idea of going from a continuous data set to a categorical data set, is that you can account for non-linearities in the relationships between the variables.
Performed multiple correspondence analysis in each of the groups to observe the association structures among the products. Subtracting some data, so although the association structure is quite stable, I might say, in this case we have some movement.
I'm going to not to speak on byplots, but on a different visualization tool. So my message, subliminal, is the following. I like to make links between modeling and correspondence analysis, PCA, and these things. So I will try to make a link here between multidimensional scaling with proper distances and the graphs you use in graphical modeling for multinomial data. So usually examples from textbook work. Other examples don't work, but you don't report them. So
I would like to the organizer. I would like to thank the organizer for creating this wonderful atmosphere in this wonderful place and this wonderful country. I am very surprised with Turkey. It's my first time, and the people is really wonderful. So I'm extremely happy of being here. Thank you very much. Well, I'm going to talk about variable selection in a very particular class of model.
And non-related methods. So, Michael said, as long as it's statistics, it doesn't matter. So it will be a change for us. Very old data collection methodologies that I want to talk about. The population censuses in the Ottoman Empire, very many years ago. And their coverage issues, the population coverage issues that I want to talk about, and also coverage issues in the Turkish population censuses, 1785, 32, 88, 50, 29, 26, and religious Islamic people, Riaya is other Christians, Copti, Jewish people, Armenians, that went to total. So that's 1831. Okay?
Yeah, so that's a very good example of statistical map showing how the population.
They have, yeah.
It's a statistical
You were
map,
asking me the map,
standard.
yeah.
That's very interesting map.
Yeah.
And if you do that with the normal, the classical least square solution, then you can end up with R square. It's the product of the two slopes. But that's a general definition. Whatever the method you use, for example.
Can you repeat which is the Gaussian methods for arrangement? For avoid
I think, okay. Cauchy said what is too difficult in least squares regression is you have to compute squares, products, and if you add squared numbers, it's another source of error. So every squaring you do, you can make a mistake. And remember, now you have computers, but in these days, they were computing centers with nice women, because the women were more able than men, and they used to do the work, and under the supervision of a man, obviously. So there was a man telling you do this series of multiplication, you do the series of squaring numbers, and since I don't think you can trust a woman, they had parallel women working. So it's very important. You ask this one woman to do, you multiply this series of figures, the other one has to multiply it, and then you add, and we check if you get the same number. Okay?